Welcome back to another episode. Guys, I knew this was supposed to be a vlog, but I nearly burnt down the house, okay? So I didn't even think about vlogging my review of Mars Cafe, but I will tell you guys the menu, the holiday menu, and how it was, the ambience, aesthetic, and everything. But overall, we'll talk about it at the end and how I nearly burnt down the house, okay? So bear with me. So, yeah, this week it's a new book, When Breath Becomes Air. I feel like a lot of medical students have come across this book, and I was like, you know what, let's dive into it. It was a very interesting read, so let's go. So we have Dr. Paul and his wife, Laura. I believe her name is Laura. Okay, I have to confirm her name, but yeah, we have Dr. Paul. Origin, his mom is Indian, and his dad was a doctor. Typical family will want their kid to be a doctor, right? And they moved from New York. So it all started with them moving from New York to Arizona because their dad wanted his own private practice. He went to Dr. Paul went to Stanford. He studied English, literature, neuroscience. But then he became very interested in neuroscience when he left on a road trip to a care facility for children who had debilitating conditions who were left by their parents to be cared for. So this was a point where he was like, oh, I really am intrigued between the human relationship between the brain and the whole body. He then went on to prepare for med school at Yale as he found that more fulfilling. He talked about his time in OBGYN, that's obstetrics and gynecology, his rotations there, the ups, the downs, the lows. He took us on his journey through residency in his book, Dr. Paul, his first patient who didn't make it, and how he felt he was sometimes not fulfilling the necessary doctor-patient relationship because of how overwhelming neurosurgery residency was. He talked about how honesty and empathy were very important when we were dealing with patients. He did amazing research at Stanford about neuroprosthetic to help paralyzed individuals. As a chief resident, Dr. Paul witnessed complications of surgery like a child who had lost control of satiety from eating and threw tantrums due to a nick in the hypothalamus during surgery. The death of his friend and colleague Dr. Jeff, by suicide due to the loss of his patient. Dr. Paul said, you can't ever reach perfections, but you can believe in an asymptote toward which you are ceaselessly trying. Now back to his lung cancer diagnosis. This is what prompted him to write the book towards the end of his life. But we'll see. I'm going to go through the ups and downs and through the book and how at one point I thought he was recovering, and then his cancer came back, and it was just a roller coaster. So yeah. So back to his lung cancer diagnosis. It progressed. He got weaker. You know that shock where you've been treating patients and now you become the patient? You're no longer entering the hospital as a doctor but as a patient. It really takes a different mindset because now you know he felt what the patients actually feel, the things that you wouldn't understand. He didn't understand as a doctor, but as a patient now he understood just how draining chemotherapy treatment was, cancer, having to go through physiotherapy. Like, it was a different perspective for him, and he talked about that in his book. And as he was going through, this was like his first treatment. This is the first time he got diagnosed. His doctor was Dr. Emma, was his colleague, and she came up with two suggestions. Chemotherapy, which she suggested was because of how sick he was at that time. But later on, they got uh, his results back, and they found out something known as his EGFR test, and found out that he had a treatable mutation for that cancer. So they switched from chemotherapy to a drug known as Tarkeva. Not sure how it's pronounced. But Dr. Paul always pushed to know his statistics. It's called the Kaplan-Meier survival curve. And it was something that he always pushed Dr. Emma to tell him about. He was like, can I please know my Kaplan-Meier curve? And she was like, no. So he refused. She was like, just keep going on with the treatment. Because he just wanted to know, how long did he have left? What were his chances of survival? He wanted to know his odds, okay? And she was like, no. At that time, she knew the best thing for him was to just keep pushing on and just keep focusing on his treatment. So his tumor started shrinking. He went back to work as a neurosurgery resident. He graduated his neurosurgery residency. Him and his wife went for IVF. They had a child together because, when you're undergoing treatment for cancer, it's possible that your sperm gets destroyed. So before starting treatment, he had taken care of this. So him and his wife opted for IVF, and they had a beautiful baby girl, alhamdulillah. And at this point, he went in for a follow-up scan, and they saw a new growth in his lungs, and he found that, yep, the cancer is back. But before this, Dr. Emma had given a prognosis. He had finally given him the Kaplan-Meier curve, and said, yeah, he had a couple years left. So when his tumor came back the second time, he finally was like, you know what? I graduated from neurosurgery resident. He just stepped down as a neurosurgeon, which was one of the hardest things he had to do, but he did it. He now started deteriorating. Now he was back. He went on to chemotherapy, and the chemotherapy was destroying his immune system so bad he had to be admitted into the ICU. It was a lot during that time because his wife was pregnant, and then she gave birth. His cancer went again for the second time. Living his normal life, came back again. And then when he came back again, this time his daughter Katie was born. He just knew that, this was it. And after that, it was just a long, well, I wouldn't say a long wait game, but he knew that, yeah, this third one, it was resistant to treatment. So he knew it was the end. And yeah, that was the end of the book. There was an epilogue of how his wife dealt with the situation after his death, and how he would have wanted his manuscript of his book was ready. Well, it was. I'm not sure if it was almost ready, if it was ready, but he was definitely writing this book. And yeah, it was an amazing book. Would definitely recommend. It was a 10 out of 10. Quite emotional. Health is wealth, indeed. Health is wealth. And always make sure you go on your doctor and on a yearly checkup at least. We'll see what's going on. So yeah, guys, back to how I nearly burnt down the house. Okay, how I nearly burnt down the house. So guys, as I was getting ready to go to Mars Cafe, a couple of days ago there was an issue with the iron. Okay, it had just suddenly just split into two. Yeah, how? I have no idea how that happened. So it was taken to get repaired, and unfortunately the person that repaired the thermostat didn't do it properly, or he used some standard products. Who knows? So I was in a hurry, I was in a rush. I started ironing my clothes, and I just left the iron on the ironing table. And the ironing table is really close to the curtain, so basically it's backed up on the wall. So unfortunately I left the iron on, and I left the room, and the iron caught on fire, and I didn't know because I wasn't in the room. And as I was about to leave the house, my brother was smelling something. He was like, "What is smelling?" And I had a blocked nose, so I could not smell anything. I don't know how, guys. Alhamdulillah, my brother could smell it because we were literally about to leave the house. So he entered the room and he saw the iron was on fire and the curtain was on fire. And I'm just like, guys, I froze for a second. I'm like, oh my gosh. And then I quickly went to the bathroom, got the water, soap, poured it on the iron, put it on the curtain, and then obviously the embers had to go on the. So there were some materials under the desk, like because next to the ironing table there's a desk, and the ember got to one of the materials on the desk under the table, and those materials caught on fire. So yeah, the printer plug caught on fire. No, the printer plug didn't get on fire, but it stopped working. So that we just had to change the fuse for that. But that was scary. That was actually very scary. And alhamdulillah, like I am checking all electronics before I leave the house. Now it was a lesson, so now yeah, Mars Cafe, guys. It was okay. I'll say the aesthetic was it was an 8 out of 10. It was a bit crowded during the time I went, so I would definitely maybe pick an hour that's not busy. Probably maybe because when I went there, it was around 12:30, 12:45. It was on a Friday, so I'm guessing people after mosque, everyone was going to go to the cafe or just, when I went there at that time, it wasn't crowded, but by the time I was leaving around before Asr, it started getting crowded. So if you want to go there, I'll recommend going at a time that's maybe not busy. So on the holiday menu, I had the salad, the it was like an Arabic salad with quinoa, some couscous, arugula, olives, dried cherries, and I had the strawberry matcha. Strawberry matcha was, I'll give it a 7 out of 10, and I'll give the I'll give the strawberry matcha an 8 out of 10. It's actually quite good, and I'll give the quinoa salad an 8 out of 10. The portion size too was good. That was actually good. The portion size was good. The service was amazing. Ambience was okay. Yeah, that was it. I'm definitely going to be reviewing more cafes afterwards. Yeah, I do have a list of cafes I want to review for you guys. So yeah, that was the Moss Cafe holiday menu. Yeah, I'm not sure if they still have the strawberry matcha there at this point because the holiday menu was for a limited amount of time. Oh, and then my friend had like the holiday pancake. It had like it looked really good. It looked amazing. Like it looked better than like the normal pancake menu because I think it came with like marshmallows, some chocolates, and she was full. Like the thing about is like the good thing is like the portion sizes are really good. So she was so full afterwards because she was going to order a sandwich, but she was like, nah, this is too much. Like I'm full after this. So yeah, guys, that's the end of the video. That's it. That's how the past couple weeks have been. And the next video, you see what we got. You see what we got in store. Alright then. If you guys reached to the end of this video, thank you very much. If you liked the video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe, put your notifications on so that when I upload a new video, you'll be the first to know. Alright then. See you guys later. Thank you. Bye.